Hello, good evening. Thanks everyone for tuning in again. I am Dr. Rigby and I'm from Isilda International Virtual Academy. Okay, so before I get started, I don't want you guys to get confused with the sign in the back. So, as you know, on Tuesdays, I'm usually coming to you from I should say, glococounselors.com, right? So, Gloco Counselors, which deals with universities and colleges for students worldwide, it's just an extension of the school, Isilda International Virtual Academy. So, the sign you're seeing in the back there, don't be confused, right? So, that's Gloco Counselors, yes. But today we're talking about Isilda International Virtual Academy. Okay, so I just thought I would go ahead and explain that. Also, if you look in the corner there, you can see my mic. So we have one of these studio mics that I use just to get, I should say, better sound. And that's what you're seeing up there in the corner. I'm going to go ahead now and go into the topic for today, but I thought I should just go ahead and explain that for those of you that are wondering, like, what is that and why is the sign in the back different, right? So hopefully when I come to you next week, I will have time to actually put up the Isilda sign, okay? Anyway, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Now, I was supposed to be coming to you live today, but due to the fact that I had a previous engagement, which was scheduled from some time ago, and with COVID-19, I need to go out and do this appointment while I can. So today, you're getting a pre recorded sessions, but I will be back with you next week. Anyway, let's get on to it. We did have some questions about the curriculum for Isilda International Virtual Academy. Now, if you go to IsildaIVA.com, you're going to see, you can go to the curriculum page and it will tell you about the curriculum for the school. But I just wanted to shed some light on it today. Okay. So at Isilda, we strive to accommodate or to serve the student holistically. And what that means basically is not just serving the student academically, but also serving the student emotionally and socially. So we felt that by using the United States Common Core curriculum and embedding in that the three R's, which the US Common Core system have. It has the three R's. Now, if you think about the 3R curriculum, that goes way back when. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that as we go on. But anyway, we incorporated the three R's, the AP, which is advanced placement, and the four C's into our overall curriculum. So it's important that you understand what the 3R means, what the AP means, and what the 4C means, and how we embedded it into the United States Common Core curriculum. Because you need to know that when registering your student with us, that your student will be able to graduate and they will be college ready. And in some cases, depending on the diploma they choose, they will be college and career ready. Now, I'm actually going with my PowerPoint here because there's so much I want to talk about today. I made a PowerPoint today just so I can remember or try not to forget certain things. Okay. So the outline for today, I know you can't see it, but I'm going to explain what the outline is. Our outline for today, we're going to first talk about what is the importance when choosing a curriculum, asynchronous and synchronous blended curriculum, because we took all those things and decided to go with an asynchronous and synchronous blended curriculum so that the students, as they come and register and they graduate, that they would be ready. And for some students, when you have the asynchronous curriculum, that works better for them because that's kind of like going self-paced. And the synchronous curriculum, we did that. Well, that's for your average student or your advanced student, okay? And that's just like the short of it, literally. So the next thing we'll focus on after that is the traditional three R's, which is the reading, writing, and arithmetic. And then we'll focus on the four C's, which is critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And then after that, we'll go into AP, which is advanced placement. And then we'll talk a little bit about credits and diploma as they relate to completing the curriculum and the graduation standards, okay? Now, let's start with why choosing, I should say, what is important when choosing a curriculum. As a school, when you choose a curriculum, you need to make sure that the curriculum serves the entire child or serves the child holistically. And that is important because you don't want to look at a student just academically. You want to look at a student, the whole student. What's going on with that student emotionally? What's going on with that student socially? Because here is the situation. In my 20 some odd years of working in education, one of the things I realize is sometimes there are students that are doing well academically, but not so well socially and emotionally. And that could affect the student all around. So we wanted to find a curriculum where we would see the whole child or serve the entire child. Sometimes you can have a student that you're focusing so much on the academics that you're not focusing at all on socially and emotionally what's going on with that child. And for some students, if their social life isn't together, it affects their academics. If they're not doing well emotionally, they're not going to do well academically for some students. Some students can be going through just about any situation and still do well, but that's not for every person. So, in choosing a curriculum, we wanted to make sure that, we basically thought about the entire child or thought about the child holistically. So that is the reason one for doing what we call asynchronous and synchronous blended learning, and choosing the 3 R's, the 4 C's, and AP. This way, we can serve the entire child across the board. So basically, any student that register with us will be able to get a pretty decent education. And one, they will be college ready, depending on the courses they choose to take. And two, they could be career ready as well as college ready. So that means a little bit beyond, um, you know, a little bit beyond college, because some students may decide to come out of high school and then just go to somewhere where they can take a trade, like a trade school, for example. So basically, with the 3 R's, the 4 C's, and the AP, this will really accommodate the entire student or the whole student. So in choosing the curriculum, that is why we basically blend all those things together. Okay. So, yes, we have the US Common Core curriculum, but we integrated it with the 3 R's, or the traditional 3 R's, the 4 C's, and AP courses. All right. I'm just going to briefly touch on the asynchronous learning and the synchronous learning again, just so that I know I touched on this on one of the previous webinars that we did. So the asynchronous learning basically is where a child can go at their own pace, right? The child and the teacher, or the student and the teacher, does not have to be in the classroom at the same time. This is where email lessons can be done. You can do work with virtual libraries. There's a lot of electronic learning going on here where it's more at the child's pace. You can work with the student on discussion boards, emails, digital recordings. So the students with asynchronous learning has the choice of being in the classroom with the teacher at the same time or not. In most cases, asynchronous refers to the child or the student doing work at their own pace, at their own time. There's usually a scheduled time for completion, but that can be flexible. There's usually some flexibility with that. For the synchronous learning, there's a scheduled time. That is when class is scheduled for 6 p.m. or 8 a.m., more the traditional way. It can be done electronically. It can be done via chat, I should say. It could be done with telephone or a podcast. But with synchronous learning, there's instant feedback. So imagine you come into a live class where there's immediate interaction with the teacher. You can see the teacher, you can ask questions, you can raise your hands, you can have discussions with other classmates during the sessions. And that's where synchronous learning comes in. Okay, but think of synchronous learning as essentially immediate feedback and, together, you and the teacher together at the same time. All right. And that's a part of our learning process, or the learning with Isilda. Okay, so let's now go on to the traditional 3 R's. The traditional 3 R's are more fundamental, and the 3 R's basically stands for reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, way back when education started, when it was thought that as long as students can read, write, and do math, then they're okay. Now we've had some advancements in that area, But to date, it doesn't cover the entire student. Remember, we talked a couple of minutes ago about, dealing with the student holistically. So yes, you could make sure that the child read, write, and do math. But with technology today, students have to be able to do a little bit more than just read and write. Okay, and that is why we're not just doing the reading and writing, but we're also including the 4 C's. Okay, now the first C is communication. I'm going to give you a definition for communication. What we have here is effective communication is a process of exchanging ideas, intentions, information, knowledge, and purpose in an effective and successful way. So we have to look at how important communication is today. We're not all great communicators. Some of us are average at communication, some of us are superb at communication. And according to research says that communication delivers more successful relationships. It also says that highly skilled communicators tend to be entrepreneurs or more successful at their jobs. Highly skilled communicators tend to be people with really high self-esteem or better self-esteem, better than average self-esteem. And we all know what happens when our self-esteem is low or not where it should be. And we never want to be followers. More importantly, we want to be leaders or, at best, independent thinkers. And when you can communicate well, it tends to make your life better as far as doing well on the job, doing well in your relationship, getting promotions over the person that doesn't communicate well. Because think about the value of the importance and the value of communication. If you're not so good at communication, you're not able to communicate a project, you're not able to communicate how you feel, you're not able to communicate, in essential forms. So when we talk about communication, you're also looking at different modes of communication. That could be writing, that could be nonverbal communication, that could be communicating through research or through a summary of something or through any particular way that you can think of. But the bottom line is that you want to be able to communicate. Now, yes, we do have the traditional 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic, but then we want to do the 4 C's. Communication is important, as you can tell from what I've just been saying, because it helps you get along in life, understand people in life, communicate your feelings, your ideas, your intentions, and information. And with Isilda International Virtual Academy, you're going to see where we put this across the board in math, in science, like biology, for example, in chemistry, literature. Like basically, it's across the board in all of our subjects because we feel that it's important for students to have communication skills. The second C is critical thinking. It's important for students to have critical thinking skills. Now, I'm going to read you the definition for critical thinking. So, we hear a lot about critical thinking today, and sometimes you stop and you wonder, what is critical thinking and why is it even important, right? So, if you want a definition, I'm going to say that critical thinking is essentially the analysis of information, situations, issues, and related evidence. Now, let's say that you have a situation, and I'm giving you this example to help explain, right? Let's say you have a situation. Critical thinking is having the ability to analyze that situation, look at that situation from different angles. But you need to be able to look at that situation objectively. Ideally, critical thinking should be done without influence and with some level of objectivity. You shouldn't be biased. And when you are initiating critical thinking, personal feelings shouldn't be involved. And as individuals, quite often we get our feelings involved with a lot of things. So if you're on the job, for an example, and you're working on a project, chances are your boss, or even you, if you're working for yourself, when you get out of high school, you need to be able how to think critically, because critical thinkers tend to be able to be great developers, like developing products, writing great novels. Imagine trying to write a novel and you don't know how to think critically. I mean, you're going to write a novel that was written before. And technically, that's not the idea, right? So critical thinking basically requires you to be able to think objectively. And yes, that sounds simple, but it's not so simple. A lot of people are unable to do that. Many people are unable to do that. It's something that I've had to practice for a while and I'm still working on. And keep in mind that critical thinking is something that, you can develop that over time. But we definitely want you to start that in high school, or I should say, middle school, because with our grades 6 through 11th right now, you will be getting that from day one, from grade 6 moving forward. Then critical thinking also allows you to be able to identify problems. Let's take the SATs, for example. When you go to take the SAT, many students look at the questions and they're unable to understand what is the question actually asking. Okay. When you can decipher what the question is asking by, reading it carefully and seeing what the problem is, knowing what you don't need to look at, because those questions on the SAT usually has just, some really important information. And then this is the junk information that you don't need. So identify what is the question actually asking you. And that's a part of critical thinking skills, being able to identify, situations, issues. And it's going to be based on evidence, of course, right? So, problem identification, research, and stating an argument. Many people don't know how to do that. Many people don't know where to start researching. Many people don't know how to research. Many people don't know how to even state a thesis. Okay. And in today's society, with technology, with everything that we do right now, it requires critical thinking skills. You have to be able to research. You have to be able to state a problem. And if you're stating a problem, then you may be asked to find a solution to that problem. And that is why critical thinking skills are important. You need to be able to do these things. Okay. Evaluating any type of information objectively, that's a part of critical thinking. Okay. So you need to be able to, if you have an issue, look at the issue or problem or situation or whatever you want to call it. You need to be able to look at it objectively, right? And do an objective evaluation of your situation. Inferencing, I know, is one of the hardest things for students. Now, I taught for several years, and one of the things I noticed was that when it comes to inferencing, that's usually a pretty difficult task for students. So when students learn to become critical thinkers, that's when they will also learn to inference better. And inference or inferencing is basically when you are looking at a problem and you're looking at the evidence that you have and you're looking at your data. You're looking at whether that data is in research form of text, pictures, images, or paper you have to go through. You need to be able to go through that and infer from that, basically drawing an inference or drawing conclusion based on whatever factual information you have. Now, back in the day when we had the 3 R's, reading, writing, and math, we didn't have to think about drawing, inferencing, and evaluating all these situations. We just had to do reading, writing, and math to survive. And in this day and time, we need a lot more than that, which is why, again, we're doing the 4 C's. So I've explained the communication. Now this is critical thinking. And now let's go on to collaboration. Collaboration is the ability to work jointly with, I would say, others. Now, I had a situation about 2 weeks ago. I was working with a developer and there were some things going wrong. And I couldn't get the developer to sit with me and collaborate on what was going wrong. I finally texted her and I said, this project is moving along too slowly. There are some things from 2 weeks ago that haven't been done. And I think instead of communicating via email at this point, to get the project speed up or to speed up the project, how about we sit and collaborate on it? Anyway, she basically eluded me for a bit and eventually told me that she really doesn't collaborate. And I said, what do you mean you don't collaborate? If we don't collaborate on the project at this point, you're looking at another month before it's finished. Now, you can see right there the importance of collaboration. Here is someone that doesn't like collaborating, but still isn't understanding or getting a good understanding of what I'm asking her to do. So in this situation, I would have loved if she sat and communicated with me and collaborated on, various part of the project, one-on-one or together, so that we can move faster and in the end get a better product. Because basically, because we weren't collaborating, I was sending all this information and the information wasn't coming across the way I wanted it to. And bottom line, they weren't reading the information I was sending or even looking at it. And because of lack of collaboration, it wasn't going well at all. So that's one of those situations where collaboration would work. Okay. So when you collaborate, you're basically working with one, two, or more people, and you're working jointly for a common cause. When you work jointly, you give and you take idea. It's like information sharing. It helps you solve problems, such as the one I had where things weren't getting done the way it's supposed to, and we were a month behind on the project. So collaboration could actually help to fix that, speed the product along, because by collaborating, we would know that this needs to be done quickly, or we would know that the colors black shouldn't go there, or we would know that these blocks are too large for this area of the project, or this, the bottom line is collaboration, it brings people together, okay, to work towards a common cause, right? Now, let me give you a good example of collaboration. Think about the iPhone. Many of you out there are familiar with iPhones because you have iPhones. Think about the Androids. For the iPhone and the Androids to come to fruition like today, we have them, we can use them, they're real. They're not just like theory, they're real. For those things to come to pass or to come to now, people had to collaborate from the design perspective. So not just one person, designed and completed or build the iPhone, right? So you've had so many people collaborating on it. Now, one of the things I heard was that when the iPhone was being made, I think it was one of the other series or one of the, because I know there's 1 through 6 or 7 or something like that. I'm not iPhone, but my understanding is with the iPhone, it was made in several different, areas, several different parts of the world. But at some point, they had to collaborate to get it done right. So all the parts will come together nicely, when they did bring all of the parts of the iPhones together. Think about cars. When cars are being made and you go to the factory, you see all these people collaborating in the factory, just putting those parts together, right? Same thing with teachers today, right? We have what we call a collaborative classroom. In collaborative classroom, that's where a minimum of 2 teachers come together to design lessons. And usually when you get 2 or more teachers together designing lessons, you get phenomenal lessons. You get lessons that are just, they're stupendous, they're great. But that's what collaboration does. That would be like 2 or more teachers coming together to design a lesson that, you know, students can learn optimally from. And that is really important. So collaboration comes in many forms, right? It comes in many, many forms. And that's what you have to think about. I mean, the computer. I'm coming to you today via a computer and a pre-recorded webinar. So basically, somebody had to design all of this technology. And in technology today, whether you're looking at phones, whether you're looking at mics like the one I'm using, whether you're looking at emails, whether you're looking at video recordings, people collaborate on these things. And one of the things I notice is that there are platforms online today where people collaborate on creating technology. For example, there is a piece of technology called the Big Blue Button, right? Or Moodle. Let's talk about Moodle. Moodle is basically the classroom, the learning management system that we're going to be using. And Moodle is a community project where people with technology or who's good in technology or can think of what can I contribute to this, they come together and they collaborate on different parts of Moodle, right? So some people will collaborate and they want to share, how to embed videos, how to embed the grading system. So Moodle is a prime example of collaboration. A lot of people from around the world getting together to collaborate for a common cause. That common cause is making education available, right? So that is one of the things that is a great product of collaboration. And collaboration is the third C. Now we have one more C, which is creativity. Now, according to Cambridge, creativity is the ability to produce or use um, original or unusual ideas. So you're producing or using original ideas. And if they're not original, they're unusual. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's extremely hard coming up. It's really, really difficult coming up with original ideas. Try writing a book and see how long it's going to take you to get through the first chapter or the first paragraph. You know, how writers, they would write and then they'll crush up that piece of paper and they toss it. They'll crush up that piece of paper and then they'll toss it because they're trying to be creative, right? They're trying to be creative. And in trying to be creative, it's not as easy as people would think. Creativity is medical researchers. Think about the CDC. Uh, the CDC have to come up with, unusual ways to research um, medication, for example, right? And a part of the four C's is creativity. So through our math courses, our writing courses, our biology, our physics courses, we're embedding like we're embedding some form of creativity where, for example, if kids are working on a particular project, you want to show them or encourage them how to be creative, and this will be taught through the classes as we go. Think about Apple Computer. Now, we all know that Apple Computer had to be extremely creative to come up with Apple Computer, right? And all of the features it has. Think about how many features are in your Apple Computer. You know, I have a Lenovo. How many features are in this computer? I mean, really, it just does so much. But you have to be creative to come up with these things. And I mean, what I would suggest you do, think of a product that you can create and then research it to see if the product is there. And chances are the product is already there. That means you need to be a little bit more creative, right? And that's what creativity is all about. Being original, being unusual, because the unusual things today tends to sell. And if you can be creative enough or unusual enough, then you may be able to come up with a product that you can actually sell, right? Or like the Apple computer, um, or something in science, the cure for something. When you're looking at science, being creative may be finding creative ways to research, different components of chemistry to come up with some type of solution to a cure. And that's the kind of creativity that we're looking for, or we'd like to see, or we'd like to teach. The internet, you have to admit, is really creative because someone at some point had to think about how can we communicate effectively with other people that are not in the same space and time, or maybe in the same time, but not in the same space. But actually, it is the same space and time because right now I can communicate with someone in Brazil, right? I can communicate with someone in Australia, which is right now, they're in a different space and time, right? And that's where the internet being creative was thought of, right? So whomever came up with the internet, and I do remember the story behind how it was developed, but that's for another day. But whomever came up with the internet was really creative. And as you know, today, all the people that collaborated in coming up with the internet, well, they're pretty much filthy rich today. And those are the important things that you have to look at when, looking at the four C's. You want to look at communication, the importance of it, critical thinking skills, the importance of that, being able to collaborate, okay? And then being creative, because quite often we tend to miss the importance of it. All right, so now you understand what the four C's are all about and why it's important for it to be embedded into the curriculum. So we have two more areas here. And here, the last thing is for the curriculum itself is AP, Advanced Placement. So we have the 3 R's in our curriculum, or I should say we have the U.S. Common Core curriculum. And within that, we embedded the 3 R's, the 4 C's, and AP. AP is advanced placement. Think of AP as college level courses that students can complete while in high school, and they can earn college credits for it, or you can earn maybe advanced, not maybe, you can earn, depending on the university you attend, you can earn advanced placement. Advanced placement is simply skipping certain courses when you start university. So let's say you took a chemistry class, an advanced chemistry class, while attending Isilda International Virtual Academy, right? And you score a 5 on that. Some colleges will allow you to skip that chemistry course when you are accepted and you start to attend. So that's advanced placement, right? And some colleges will give you credit for it. So let's say you need 120 credits to graduate, then that 5 on the chemistry course, maybe you now have 8 credits. So instead of needing to get 120 credits, minus 8. That's simple. So advanced placement is important. A lot of universities and colleges accept them. So in a nutshell, our curriculum will ensure that you're college ready, depending on the track that you take. And depending on the track, it will ensure that you are college and career ready. So the credit and diplomas that I was talking about, that's the very last thing I want to address. There are three different tracks. You have the standard diploma, which means with the standard diploma, it's still 24 credits that you have to earn while at our school. However, you don't have to take the world languages. Now, keep in mind that if some students don't want to take world languages, so in that case, you can graduate with a standard diploma. But if you don't take world languages, then most colleges won't accept you without the 2 years of world languages. But that is the standard diploma, and that is your choice. But it is the same 24 credits. You just take a different set of courses. However, everybody take the same core courses of reading, writing, math, and science. Okay. Now, the standard college preparatory diploma, you still have to, with that diploma, you get the same, you have to achieve the same 24 credits. But then with that, you have to take, in order for it to be college ready, then you have to take the 2 years of language. And that could be Mandarin, that could be French, or that could be Spanish. So you decide. And my understanding is that we will be adding some more world languages. Well, we have English. So right now the world languages are English, because a lot of foreign students like to take English language, and Spanish, French, and Mandarin. And then the third diploma you can get is the college and career ready. So you have the college preparatory diploma, you have the standard diploma, and then you have the college and career ready diploma. Okay. Career ready diploma simply means that you can graduate with your 24 credits and you have the option of going on to college, or you can then just go to, say, a trade school, or go into like a basic trade. Okay. So those are the 3 standards that we have that you can earn while you're at Isilda. So in conclusion, the curriculum is based on the United States Common Core curriculum. To serve students holistically, we integrate AP courses with the 3 R's, and the 3 R's are the reading, writing, and arithmetic, and the 4 C's, which is critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. Okay, so that's basically our curriculum, and in a nutshell. I want to thank you all for watching today. If you need further information, feel free to contact us. If you go on our website, you will see a chat box where you can, in the lower right-hand corner, where you can contact or chat with us immediately, depending on the hour. So hopefully it's during our daytime. And if that doesn't work for you, you can email us at info@isilda.com. So that's info@IsildaIVA.com. All right. And we promise to get back to you within 24 hours, sometimes the same day. Okay. Please remember to like us on Facebook, And I also want to thank our sponsor, toxicmoon.us. Okay, thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks for stopping in.